Good morning, everyone, and welcome to No Capes, the comics talk show where we talk about comics that don't have superheroes in them. And today I am joined by Michael Mulipola from New Zealand, who is a fantastic artist and creator. Michael, if you could just retell everyone a little bit about your work because it was very interesting.
Yep. I'm a Samoan comic book illustrator, born and raised in Auckland, New Zealand. I illustrate the Headlock graphic novel series, which also led to the WWE comics work, which I illustrated for Boom Studios. I've also illustrated Marvel trading cards. Did some work for 2K ANZ for the WWE Battlegrounds promo stuff and illustrated all kinds of kids' books and publications. And when I'm not drawing, I'm also a professional wrestler, former New Zealand heavyweight champion, former New
Nice.
Zealand tag team champion, and also a competitive Tekken gamer.
Very cool. Um, Yeah, and yeah, we were just talking about process and things like that, and Michael was actually telling us about a really cool residency that you did with, and we're doing things over Twitch with.
Yeah, So the last couple of weeks, part of my residency was because of the COVID situation. Totai, which is a arts foundation here in New Zealand. They were offering, $1,000 for artists to create art at home and document the process. So I thought, because of what I do, I thought it'd be fun to live stream an entire comic process from start to finish, and the layouts, pencils, inks, colors, some of my shortcuts, and the warts and all. Like, I wasn't hiding anything. It was just like, and it was really fun to be able to share that process and have people jump in chat, ask questions about the creative process, about comic art, just anything in general, and just sharing my observations and my experience, and encouraging a lot of them. Like, they really enjoyed, kind of joining me and having the time to pick my brain. So that was kind of the things that I really enjoyed about the residency.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. It was that's actually pretty much where we were up to before I realized I messed up with our mics as well. Is that as an Australian right now who has been watching the arts getting slashed left, right, and center, I'm really, really impressed by all of the cool arts and cultural stuff that I've been seeing in the news coming out of New Zealand.
And it helps that Jacinda Ardern, our Prime Minister, is also the Minister for Arts, and it's definitely like this year, especially with the COVID situation, there really has been a lot of funds being pumped into the arts, and it's really great to see, because there was a time where the arts weren't really cared for, and to kind of see a bit more focus shifting into the arts to the point where there's like right wing lobbies like creating trolling uh tweets, trying to make fun of like the arts fundings and stuff, and trying to hijack that means that there's definitely a shift in funding, and I'm hoping that there's even more in the near future and post election. This weekend, hopefully the arts do receive even more funding and more support.
Yeah, that'll be really cool because actually one of the things I noticed recently that Twitter exploded with was when Jacinda stopped by. I've forgotten the bloke's name right now, but
Brock's, yep,
the sculptor.
yeah,
Uh,
Brock's the wood carver. He does the Hokkaido work and stuff, and he's such a cool dude. Like, such a real humble, nice dude, and just so genuine. And like, I wish I could be half as nice as him. But like, yeah, it was just so hilarious when she just pops in on the stream, and it just kind of, it's one of those things that makes me grateful to be living in New Zealand amongst a whole bunch of other stuff, is that kind of accessibility that that people like Jacinda Ardern have. They do normal things. They talk to normal people. There's no kind of I guess pedestal or like celebrity kind of status. Even though
yeah.
there is a semi celebrity status, but mainly more from the outside looking in.
Hmm.
So like a lot of the media outlets outside of New Zealand kind of put Jacinda Ardern on this pedestal. Like, look how great she's doing, handling the COVID situation, and
Yeah,
New Zealand's doing really well and stuff. And back home, it's just like, oh, it's just Auntie Cindy, So,
yeah.
yeah,
It's funny that you mentioned that as well, actually, because it's a similar story. My partner and I got onto the Thor set a few years ago, and we
yeah,
got to meet Taika and everyone like that. And to everyone over here, that's a huge deal. And we
yeah,
were just chatting to Robin's cousins, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw him down at the shops the other day.
yeah,
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 Taika's always at the shops. I see him all
yeah.
the time."
Yeah, and I think that's the cool thing about the New Zealand thing is that yeah, the celebrity, that kind of celebrity fervor isn't really a thing over here. So it's kind of cool. It's real, we're chill, we're laid back.
Yeah,
Um,
it's nice. My mother and father in law actually go over there regularly for holidays.
all right,
Um, they're
are they from New Zealand or?
well, he did grow. He's from like the Isle of Man, I think.
Oh,
He was
okay,
born there, moved to New Zealand, went to school in New Zealand, and then moved to Australia.
all right.
So like a bit of everything. And like my nan grew up in was born in Auckland and
Okay,
grew
yeah,
up there, and then came over here, and so like we've all got family
yeah.
scattered around there somewhere.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to introduce our comic in a second, but before I do, I'm going to take a second for a shameless plug for my caffeine supplier for today, which is the Byron Beverage Co. and this really nice black nitro coffee. And this is going to be either really cool or really embarrassing trying to crack it and pour it on stream. Because it's probably my favorite part of drinking it, actually, is pouring it, because nitro coffee pours like beer. Let's see, let's see. Am I going to get the head? Oh, not much head. But it's really smooth and very tasty. And surprisingly, as far as these canned coffees go, for small batch, like hand done local stuff, it's only $4 a can. And like
Ooh.
here, you pay $2 to $5 a can for iced coffee for most of the imported ones. So can't complain about that. So like if you guys have tuned in this morning, because I know you were wanting to check out the stream, it's good, and I'd like to try more. But moving on to the actual topic of the day is that today we're talking about bitter root, which for everyone watching the stream, I think I showed you a screenshot of the layout the other day. So we've got the comic up between our cameras right now, so that everyone can see what we're seeing
Yeah.
as we talk. So, Bitter Root is a really cool supernatural comic. It's published by Image, and it's Chuck Brown, Sanford Green, and David F. Walker. I have actually forgotten the full names of the other two names credited right now, because it's way early in the morning and this is my first coffee.
I was like Rico Renzi, the colorist.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I read
That's
something else
very
that Rico worked on recently, actually. That name is ringing a real solid bell.
yeah. Well, yeah, like when I was reading Bitterroot, I was like, oh, this looks like Rico Renzi color work, and sure enough, it totally was. And so,
Yeah, I love the color work in this. It's
yeah,
so nice.
Rico Renzi is the guy responsible for the Spider Gwen color palette.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Um, and so the neon, the neon blue and stuff.
Yep.
That kind of retro neon vibe that Spider Gwen had in the comics, which they used as her color palette for Into the Spider Verse film. That was Rika Renzi
That's cool. That's very
editing
cool.
thing. So yeah, so like when reading through Bitterroot, that kind of again that neon kind of luminescence that he brings to the coloring gives an otherworldly feel, which kind of really does fit in with the story that David F. Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Green are telling in Bitterroot. And so it's kind of cool just to see that stuff.
Yeah, it really is. For anyone watching, I've just linked Bitterroot in the chat so that you can go and check it out. Issue 1 is free right now. It
Yeah.
looks like Comixology is doing another one of their cool, massive number one free sweeps
Yeah.
because, like, the last 4 or 5 episodes, all the number ones have been free.
Oh, that's cool. Just in time, and
Yeah,
yeah, I think also the first volume of the trade paperback is available as well.
it is. It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So if you haven't read it now yet, definitely go check that out. Issue 1 is what we're going to be talking about for the most part today, but once we start talking about further parts of the story, I'll give you a warning, and if you haven't read it, go away, read it, come back, and then watch the episode so you don't get
yeah.
spoiled. Um, but look, I'm going to be 100% honest right up. As a white Australian, I don't know a lot about the whole New Orleans, Harlem, and the supernatural history stuff. I've been learning as much about it as I can, especially after picking up this comic. But I don't know heaps about it, so I'm not going to talk about that a lot because that ain't my story to tell. But
Yeah.
I am just going to talk about the book because it's an amazing book and you should read it.
Yeah, yeah, no, like the same here. I'm Samoan, in New Zealand, and you only see bits and pieces of some of the stuff, through media, through TV and film and stuff. But it was kind of cool to kind of delve into that world a bit, and through the story, and kind of and even though I'm Samoan, there's elements within that family dynamic of the you know of the Bitterroot main characters that feel so familiar,
Mm,
and so there's those little things that kind of like, oh, yeah, I could totally get this family dynamic because I've seen that family dynamic.
yeah.
I have that family dynamic, and so it just kind of draws you into the story even more. So yeah, so it's kind of cool to kind of explore this kind of like 1920s steampunk, African American steampunk kind of
Yeah,
I
it was
guess
almost electropunk.
supernatural story. Yeah.
Yeah, like some of the tech that we end up seeing in it like is almost sort of an electropunk style,
Yeah.
which is really cool. Actually, that's another comic that I'm waiting on. That
Electrified by Jeff Waymister.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and B. Dave Walters worked on it and stuff as well, which is really cool. Have you read B. Dave's D&D comics?
No, I haven't. Okay, yeah.
Did A Darkened Wish with Tess Fowler.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, and it's really good. I'm actually playing D&D with B. Dave next weekend.
Cool.
And Tess just said this morning, "Yeah, I'll come on the show," which is great because I love
Oh,
Tess's
awesome.
work. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. But it also looks really cool. I backed the heck out of that. I couldn't back it for a hard copy because Australia,
Yeah.
but I did
And
back the heck out of it. Um, Actually, speaking of comics and art and artists and things that to back on Kickstarter, I don't know if you've seen it, but it just finished. I got charged this morning, so it should be on BackerKit
Thomas River?
soon. No.
Oh.
What's it called again? Render Wave Color Encyclopedia.
Oh no.
It's a hardcover book
Yeah.
made by a whole bunch of different comics artists about drawing and coloring specifically for comics.
Oh.
It's like a how-to book, but with
Yeah.
like loads of different people contributing. So it's all different styles from
Yeah. Different
realistic
techniques and
digital
stuff.
painting to this kind of stuff. And I'm so hyped for it. It's like
Oh
I
man,
think it's going to be about this thick.
yeah.
I
Oh,
backed.
I
I
should, I should back that because like as an artist, like I really do process things in linear form,
mm,
uh, and I never I like coloring is always a struggle. It's always kind of like a weak point of my
I'm
art
still
because
trying to improve my coloring
yeah,
as well.
I don't think in color. I think in black and white, like lines, like that's my thing. And um, so yeah,
Yeah.
so that definitely I might have to just buy it
Yeah,
after.
when in the when it goes live on BackerKit so that you can
Yeah.
like other people can back it, I'll link it to you.
Okay,
Um,
cool. That'll be cool.
I'll
Yeah.
send you a link to the Kickstarter anyway, so you can keep an eye on it when they update to say, "Hey, it's available." Because they had a digital version and a print version. I managed to get lucky and I could fork out for the print version for
Yeah.
this one. There was another one that was on recently that will be available digitally soon for sale called What They Don't Teach You in Art School. And it's
Okay. Yeah.
it's about being in business as a
Yeah.
freelance artist and graphic design and all of that sort of stuff that you need to know to actually make money out of your work
Yeah.
rather than just doing the art. It's how to actually effectively monetize your art. And there's actually a workbook coming out next year that's like a companion piece to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But this color encyclopedia is really cool as well. It comes with a whole issue, like you get a whole issue of inked comic
And
to
then you
practice
can.
your coloring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sweet. That sounds fun.
yeah. So that's going to be really cool. Actually, I might even quickly find that and share it with everyone now. Now, let me just see. Did that make it? No, it didn't make a mess of everything. That's good. I noticed for some reason the other day, I think I'm going to switch away from Google Meets for and back to maybe Discord or something else for the episodes from now on. Um, the last couple of episodes or just video conferences I've had on it, if I happen to click anything else on this monitor
Yeah.
while I've got the Google Meets open, the camera frames stay the right shape, but it just goes completely grey.
Oh, okay.
But if I do extra stuff in different windows and stuff over here on my second monitor and leave Google Meets as it is over here, perfect. But yeah, I don't know why it does that, but it's definitely not the best for the episodes.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing I'm trying to do is I really want to make No Cape something special. And it's special to me, but I want to make it special to everybody else.
Yeah. I think this is my first Google Meets kind of conference call. I usually do use Zoom on
Yeah.
my.
So I've thought about Zoom, but I've just heard too many things about Zoom's security.
All right.
And I was just like, oh, like I don't know enough about computers as it is. I don't think I should take any risks with anything that's been labeled a security risk. All right, and I just sent it to you on Twitter, and I've just dropped it in the chat for everyone for
Sweet.
the Colorpedia. It sounds really cool, and I can't wait to get it. But yeah, moving back on to Bitterroot, because I wonder if Rico's one of the artists. There was like 30 artists involved with this thing, and
Yeah.
some of the color styles looked really iconic, but I'm not sure who they all are. But I've got it open on the first page. That dance scene
Yeah.
in
The
the bar.
and the jazz club.
Yeah, and just the pinks and the blues. It looks so nice, and like Sanford's line work as well.
Yeah.
The dynamism in his work
Yeah,
is
no, Sanford. Yeah, no. Luckily, Sanford's a friend of mine. He's always been very accommodating when I catch up with him over in the States and stuff. And like I've always been a fan of his work. The line work, the kind of like cartoonish dynamicism sensibility of his work as well, where it's not trying to be photorealistic. It's trying to
mm,
be representative. It's trying to be emotive, and that's what I love about his work.
yeah. I think that's what I'm really drawn to these days in my comics is folks who are drawing in these ways that aren't your typical. Like I was saying to Derek the other day, is that like I liked with Crowded when I read that, and even the Rocketeer when we were talking about that, is it's not that traditional Marvel DC style.
Yeah,
Like that stuff is great, but when you see a Marvel or DC artist who has been working for Marvel or DC exclusively for a long time, and they draw pretty much anything, you can go, oh yeah, that's a
yeah,
Marvel book, that's a DC book, or
yeah. No, and and that's the beauty of the comics medium is that all art styles. can be used and
Yeah,
utilized to tell a story through comics. It's just not that superhero aesthetic. The cross hatching and the
yeah,
realism and the massive muscles. You know, stuff like Sanford's stuff, and a lot of the times, some of the best stories told in interesting art styles and whatnot. And so yeah, it's cool that um, that people are able to see this diverse range of art styles in the comics that they read now.
yeah, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, is for that reason. Because in all of these non superhero books, there are so many people with incredible art styles, not even just the line art, but like the colorists. Again,
Yeah,
like we're saying with Rico on the colors here. Holy crap.
yeah,
Like certain colorists just bring a whole other level. Like Triona Farrell, who does the colors for Crowded,
yeah.
and also did the colors for Mech Cadet U. Her
Oh, yeah,
style of
yeah,
yeah, her style of coloring is beautiful.
yeah.
And with
Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
sorry, I just saying like with Ted and Rose line art on Crowded,
Yeah,
couldn't think of a better combination.
yeah. That's funny because yeah, because having been a fan of Sanford, I remember when I first met him, San Diego 2011, and I was showing him my artwork, and he really loved it. He really loved my line work and my kind of straightforward storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I'm a little jealous of the cleanliness of your lines. By the way, I was having another look through your
yeah.
portfolio before we started, and
And it's interesting too because like so one of the things that Sanford when I showed him the first Halo graphic novel I illustrated, the colorist Chuck does an amazing job. He very much does that very polished rendered comic style
mm-hmm.
of coloring. And I remember Sanford taking a look and going, "Oh man, like this is great. Love the line work. Your straightforward storytelling is nice, solid." Basic storytelling, which oftentimes you'll find people don't get that right. They're too busy trying to be fancy and over the top, and the story is what you service as a comic book illustrator. And I
Yeah.
remember one of the things that Sanford said was, with he goes to me with my line work, he feels like my work would work better in flat colors. And so
Mm.
when I remember when he told me that, that's when I realized, oh yeah, maybe that's how I should color my work because I guess flat colors allow the line work to kind of stand out a bit more, and it kind of helps accentuate the line work. And like looking at like Bitterroot and also his work on Power Man and Iron Fist, he's got colorists who do more of that flat style,
Yeah.
which really does again accentuate his line work and everything else. And so it was kind of cool, like hearing Sanford tell me that, but then also seeing that in his work and understanding. Okay, I can see why he said that, and I can
Yeah.
see how it works with his artwork.
Yeah. I know what you mean because like this comic does that as well.
Yeah,
Like, it's really nice and it's like dynamic line work and stuff, but there's only a couple of layers to the shading and then everything, and a lot of flats, but it just
yeah,
leaps off the page. So it doesn't need to be heavy rendered every time.
yeah. It doesn't have to be superhero rendered to be effective. And I think one of the best uses of color I've seen in a comic where it was just so simple yet so effective was Dark Horses 8. Raphael Albuquerque and who wrote it? So pretty much in 8, um, there's the past, present, and future,
Mm-hmm.
and the way you can tell which time period is which is that the background or some of the coloring. So it's pretty much black and white with spots of color. There'll be like purple, orange, and green, I think. And using those in the background and using certain elements, you can understand, okay, that's the future, that's the past,
Yeah,
that's present. And I was
that's
like, that
cool.
that's so genius, like just utilizing color as a storytelling mechanic in this comic. And I love stuff like that where um you know color, like especially for myself as someone who really thinks in black and white and lines. seeing people use color to help drive the story forward, was kind of inspiring. It's like, oh damn, that's so cool.
Yeah, no,
And I do
that's
recommend eight as well. Reading eight, I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, there's a second story, but eight is a really good fun story.
I'm gonna have to look for that one because that sounds really cool. I like when people use visual cues like
Yeah,
that, like distinctive styles to communicate certain things is really cool visual storytelling.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, yeah,
Yeah. I'm loving also like the second page technically because the first page is a double page spread. That family portrait,
yeah,
just that's something else. Like
the
the amount of
montage.
detail that's in there.
Yeah, like and like with Sanford's work, very clean line work, and but like there's still all these little details,
Yeah,
that really kind of bring these characters to life. Um, like in terms of like the attire or the little bits of tech as well. Yeah, it just really does feel like that 1920s Harlem, New Orleans kind of that jazz. There's a jazz to it.
yeah, I know what you
And
mean. And like if you don't pay close attention, you wouldn't notice the tech.
yeah,
But as the more you look at the page, the more you can see that retro futuristic sort of, all those guns that are slung over their shoulder.
yeah,
The little dude's walking cane is obviously a weapon of some sort.
yeah. It's pretty cool. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and then bam, next page again, straight back into those gorgeous pinks and
Yeah,
uh,
there's again that kind of otherworldly color,
mm,
which totally fits in with the story. As you read it, you're like, okay, cool. There's supernatural elements. There's the steampunk kind of electropunk kind of elements. The voodoo vibe and all that kind of the mojo and yeah, it just really does work so well with Sanford's lines.
yeah, it really does. And like I love how they do this too because it's not just like it's supposed to be a late dark night time sort of scene, but that doesn't mean you can't have color.
Yeah,
And they really execute that. They get that feeling of it's late at night and the light is coming from the buildings and things, but it's also a bright and colorful page.
yeah,
And yeah, for anyone who's not familiar, is the comic follows this family of. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce the name because I've never heard it said out loud, but I
yeah.
think it's
I
the
think it's
same.
Sakurai.
Yeah, it's the Sangarai. I'm not sure, but the Sangarai family, who have their apothecary shop in Harlem, um, and when the sun goes down, they are monster hunters essentially.
Yeah,
They're hunting these creatures called the Jinnu, who are, from what I can tell, people that have given in to their worst impulses and been turned devilish for it.
yeah, yeah. The Janu and stuff like um, kind of demonish characters in all shapes and forms, and this family kind of hunts them and tries best to turn them back to normal. Really,
Yeah,
essentially the Janu are kind of like Rick Moranis and Sigourney Weaver and Ghostbusters.
yeah,
They turned into the gatekeeper and the keymaster and and pretty much the Sangarai family are trying to turn them back to normal. All these Janu who kind of transformed. So yeah, it's kind of cool, like those little elements,
yeah,
and the family dynamic, as I mentioned earlier.
yeah.
It just feels so familiar.
Yep, I'm
Um,
on the page with the first introduction to the Janu or the
yeah,
rooftop fight scene right now, and I love Berg. Berg's my favorite.
yeah,
I love
um,
that big burly, really smart and gentle guy trope. I love that, and
yeah,
Berg is a perfect example of that.
Berg pretty much like if you ever talk to Sanford, Sanford would probably say it is because it looks just like David F. Walker. Um, yeah, and so yeah, I was just like, that's totally David. um,
Yeah, I love that.
and
He's just kicking back with a cup of tea
yeah,
and just
and like I get Beast vibes
yes,
from Berg.
yeah,
And after rewatching the X-Men '90s animated cartoon series, I absolutely my favorite character is Beast now.
yeah.
As now that I'm older, watching the entire series,
I
I
really need to
really
watch that again.
appreciated. Yeah, I really appreciated how succinct Beast's quotes were whenever he pops up, and he had these amazing quotes, which always were on point. With whatever was happening in the episode, I was like, I so appreciate Beast so much more now. Like he's my favorite thing of the X-Men '90s cartoon now that I'm older and a little bit wiser.
Yeah,
Um,
yep. Yeah,
because
like I loved Gambit when I was a kid.
yeah. So yeah, so that's definitely what Berg feels like, that Beast.
Yeah,
He's big burly dude. Very smart, very intelligent.
yeah. He'd
And
rather use his smarts if he can.
gentle, but like very much like us Polynesians and Samoans and stuff. We're the nicest people until you cross us, and then it's all over.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. Yeah, I've got a mate up here, Didi. He's Murray, and
yeah,
he's like 6'4"
yeah,
and about this broad in the shoulders. But he's so soft spoken and so nice.
yeah,
But he's also a stunt dude.
yeah. See, no,
So he
exactly
could
like
pick you up and throw you through a window if he had to.
yeah. Well, yeah, if you take a look at the Pacifica sports people, like in rugby league and rugby, we're the we're the we're the biggest buffers. We smash people on the field, but then when you talk to us outside the field, we're like, oh, just real humble, real down to earth, real laid back, real friendly and stuff. And people are like, man, But yeah, that's definitely what I get from Berg, and that's what I kind of loved was just that. And it's like, yeah, I totally know people like that. I am like that. People
Yeah.
are always amazed at how much of an asshole I am when I'm wrestling. But outside the ring, I'm just like this chill dude. So yeah, I'm
Yep.
just like, yeah, it's just part and parcel of it.
Yeah, and I love the big brother little brother dynamic here as well. Like he's
Yeah,
just sitting there sipping his tea and giggling at his little brother getting his ass kicked.
yeah. Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, I'll only step in if I need to, but you
Yeah.
can handle this. Yeah, it's that again, it's that family dynamic that's so familiar. The whole, only step in if you're really in trouble, but you've got to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, you got to do it. And so,
I love the
um,
close up here where you can see like the elephants on Berg's teacup as he's giving Cullen that
oh yeah,
come on, pull your finger out, look over his teacup.
yeah,
That's
um,
such a good panel. Like the expressions, the lighting.
yeah, the smugness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and even the Gnu, like that panel of it leaping and it's leaping out of the panel
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, I utilize that as well, in terms of creating something that's dynamic or something that kind of literally stands out of the panel,
Mm,
where it breaks out panel, it gives it a more of a like a 3D feel, so yeah, and that's one of those things that some people would just do because they think it looks cool, but
yep.
like for me, and like definitely with what Sanford's doing, it's used for effect.
Yeah. No, exactly
There's a
right.
purpose to breaking out of that panel. So yeah,
Yeah, and I love it when there's clever use of that sort of thing.
yeah,
Um, even when I was talking to Derek again this week, we were talking about one particular panel where they use Betty as the panel border for three panels in the
yeah,
Rocketeer. And in a previous comic I talked about with Ted Brandt and Rose Stein, we talked about Witch Hat Atelier, and it does a lot of stuff like that in its manga format.
yeah,
There was one panel where the witch that is gonna teach, he's looking about to recruit his newest apprentice, is the panel border of two panels, and then at the bottom of the page, I think it might have been the next page. I turned that page and I laughed out loud, not because it was funny, but because I was just struck by how clever
Yeah.
this one panel was illustrated. And he was like leaning on a bench while he's talking to the little girl, sort of thing. And they illustrated that so his hand was folded around the edge of the panel border,
Yeah.
and they used that panel border instead of drawing in the table.
Yeah. That's cool.
And it was just so cleanly done. It was so clever. It just really tickled me. I love clever use of panels and spacing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not breaking the panel for the sake of breaking the panel, but when you can see like they really thought about this.
Yeah.
And this is a really cool sequence as well, where we're meeting Ma Etta.
Yeah. And Blink.
Yeah, in Blink, and there's the four panels down the side of the page, and so then we get that really cool stretching upwards feeling
Yeah.
of them looking up to the roof. Like a lot of other comics might have done that as one big panel at the top and then four small panels across the bottom,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't given us that same sense of depth and height.
Yeah. And the stacking only works if it's on the right side.
Mm,
Um. So yeah, because if it's on the left side, people will read there and then go to the thing, and so it kind of just yeah it throws the whole pacing off.
yep.
So yeah, so like this is again this is just showcasing Sanford's skills and craftsmanship in terms of being um a well seasoned veteran in comics. Understanding that he's going to stack those four panels on top of each other, but in the right way, and so that it actually makes sense, rather than again doing it because they think it looks cool.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's one of the things I see a lot with you know, um, new creators who are jumping into comics for the first time. Again, they're thinking too much about the aesthetic rather than the storytelling.
Yep.
And storytelling is the main focus of your art if you're illustrating comics.
Yep. And
That's
that
first and
is
foremost your job.
yeah, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why it took me so long as an artist to start doing sequentials until last year properly, because I do a few different things, like I do games work as well as working on comics, and I did comics when I was younger, and then I just did a lot of practicing for a long
Yeah,
time, just drawing characters and learning how to design characters and trying to get expressions right. And it's still taking me a long time. I got a book recently that has really helped me unlock a lot of stuff about faces and proportions and stuff that has leveled me up. Mike Hawthorne, actually. I'm not
oh
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
such a cool dude. Like, yeah, I follow his stuff. I try and I grab most of his books and stuff. I've
Yeah.
got
So have you
got like
got his cheat
shirts,
codes?
yeah, and then I got his Happiness Will Follow
Yep, I've
autobio graphic novel,
I've
which
got to get
was
that.
yeah, it's that's another good comic, and it's crazy because like I remember seeing that he was like Puerto Rican. I was
Yeah.
like, man, yeah, that's cool, um and reading his story, through his own words
Yep.
was like, man, so much of this is again is familiar, and that's
Yeah.
the great thing about stories, is that resonate, when it resonates, that story that you're reading or you're telling resonates with an audience that you maybe didn't realize would resonate with, and I feel like that was the same thing with Samoan coaches, Pacifica coaches, Puerto Rican coaches. They're very tied into the family
Mm,
and that kind of village aspect, and so like a lot of the stuff he has in his autobio graphic novel, I was like, man, I know that feeling. I know that instance. I know people in that situation. I know exactly, and so it was very powerful. It was very confronting,
mm-hmm.
and um, like him broaching some of the subjects he did and his upbringing, but like not in a gratuitous way.
Yep.
but like kind of like this is my life, and you're like, man, you just would never know, like someone like Mike would have gone through that stuff
Yep.
with his family, and like yeah, pretty brave, and like hats off to him for telling his story in such an amazing way. And that again, because his line work is so crisp and so good, and he doesn't go as full detailed as he does with his Marvel work.
Mm.
Uh, but the colorist on that employs the flat colors
Yep.
as well, and it just again that coloring style really serviced the story, and
That's
that's what everyone needs to understand.
yeah.
Making comics, story is first. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to make the decisions that are best for the story.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to picking that up. Actually, I might even head to his Gumroad after this.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I bought it on Comixology, and I liked it so much. I bought a physical copy.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I've got the physical copy of the cheat codes book.
yeah. Yeah. Same
Yeah.
here. I did that as well.
Yeah, I've got the
Um.
digital copy as well. I actually printed the whole thing out so that I can put it on the wall just here,
Yeah.
so that when I'm drawing, I can just.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah. I've got um like these anatomy figures.
Yep. Yeah, I've
Um,
got a few of the little grey dudes.
yeah, just out of range.
Yeah.
And I also have like these sticky bones,
Oh,
which are
nice.
kind of
That's
like
cool.
these really amazing. Well, like what I love about this reference is like they're magnetic and stuff,
Oh,
and
nice.
you can post them real quick. But they're also like general reference.
Yeah.
Um, they're not photorealistic or anything. They're not realistic, so it really does allow you to get the general information that you can make your drawing decisions based on,
Okay.
rather than trying to draw exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And so,
Sticky bones, you say?
yeah, sticky bones. So yeah, so I got like two of them. And so yeah, often like if I'm dealing with a tricky kind of shot, I'll kind of pose these, and then I kind of like take a look at the body and go, oh, okay, cool. I think I figured it out a bit more. So yeah, so they're just real easy to pose and stuff, and um,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
yeah. You've hooked me on. I'm gonna need one of those because
yeah, and
that's
yeah, they're great. They're 8-inch size as well, so
yeah.
that's nice and thing, and yeah, they're pretty sturdy, and the parts pop off because you put it together, but it's just easy enough to
That's cool.
um,
Yeah, because like I like these guys, but that's
yeah,
the thing is they are very superhero proportiony and all the rest. They're very specific details, and no, I like that because the way that is shaped is exactly how I like when I'm doing photo reference.
yeah,
Those are pretty much the exact shapes that I break a body down into,
yeah.
and then fudge off the photo so that I can actually get to work.
Yeah. So that's what I like about them is this. It's great general reference. It's
That's
it's
cool, and I'm
not
going to link that in the chat for anyone who's watching. Um,
yeah.
so you
There's one
can,
that I backed on Indiegogo a while ago,
yeah,
and it's
cool.
like because I had them sitting in the box, and then once I sorted out my new studio and living workspace, I was like, oh, I should try the sticky bones ago. And then as soon as I took them out of the box, I was like, why the hell did I not play with these earlier? Like I should have been using these earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was one of those things like, damn it, I didn't realize how good they were gonna be.
Yeah, I
So
know what you mean. I'm actually looking forward to playing with my new one of those little grey guys because I got two of
Harlequin, yeah,
I got two of the knockoff ones a while ago, but one of my friends, the one whose brother introduced me to Ryan actually,
yeah,
he knew I was looking for decent reference mannequins and stuff like that, and he surprised me with one of the legit ones that comes with like the sword and shield and the handguns and all the props and stuff. Um, and I like it a lot more. It's a lot sturdier, and
yeah.
so I'm looking forward to
I
trying it
know.
out.
A while ago, SH Figure Arts posted what they called the hand kun,
Oh yeah.
which was like a fully articulated hand, like in that style.
Mm.
I didn't know if it was life size, but
Yep.
it was fairly big. And I was like, oh, that would be handy, but I haven't seen any information about it since,
I'll have to look
or
that up
any
as well.
stuff, because like in the
I've just
like
got this.
yeah, I can't stand those wooden hands.
Yeah. This one just literally came off a shop mannequin.
Yeah. Mm.
I
But
just
yeah, the body couldn't. Yeah, the hand couldn't. I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for that to be available, and I'll buy that.
yeah,
You
that's
know,
pretty cool.
yeah. Otherwise, like if I'm doing hands, my hand reference, funny enough, because I got a whole bunch of extra figures. Um, there's like
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, nice.
using different hands
Yeah,
um for certain things. So
yeah,
yeah,
that was what was cool about that grey guy. He came with like 10 different sets of hands.
yeah, um, yeah. So yeah, no, it's an interesting life, finding reference
Yeah,
and what, as an artist,
and that
you
is
know.
what I'm loving about using Clip Studio these days too.
Oh
Is
yes,
the 3D models that you can import into Clip Studio.
yeah, yeah. I used to use Poser.
Oh yeah,
So, yeah, just like before like when I was doing dynamic poses, I'd kind of pose the character and kind of have them like in the angle that I was thinking of, and then kind of using that as reference.
yeah,
Um, and like as an artist, like some people think that if you use reference, you're cheating. And it's like only if you're not cheating if you're using reference right.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Like
yeah,
I
and,
will grab a photo if there's a pose that I'm having a struggle with. I'll grab a photo and Jazza. You're probably familiar with Draw with Jazza on YouTube.
um, oh no,
Ah, he's an Australian bloke. He's down south and he's got a YouTube channel where he does a lot of drawing streams, but also tutorials. And he had this really good one for using photo reference in a way that you're not relying on the photo too much.
yeah,
And you just essentially get one of those sticky boneses
yeah,
out of the photo, and then you delete the photo and didn't draw the rest of it yourself.
yeah.
And that's
Um,
it. And if I'm in a hurry, especially like when I'm drawing paper minis for D&D and I need to finish it, that's what I'll
yeah,
do. I'll find a photo of the appropriate pose, couple of circles here, a square there, delete it, and then you've got a skeleton.
yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. I often say like like as an artist, reference is key because
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately you're not able to draw everything
No.
and
And
everything right unless you're Kim Jong Gi, and so um yeah, so reference isn't a bad word as an
yeah,
artist.
it's not. And
Like
it's not something to be scared of. And
yeah,
like almost every professional comics artist will tell you
yeah,
download references, keep them on your computer, have a bunch of different folders, have a library of references because you will not ever be able to draw everything. You will never know how everything works from every angle. And
yeah,
yeah, sometimes you just got to look at a picture.
and I think the thing is with reference is that it's reference. Okay,
Mm,
don't it's not in like with photorealistic artists and stuff. One thing I've seen in my experience is that they use reference so much that it kind of becomes a crutch.
mm,
And so
yeah,
like the skills it takes to draw something photorealistic is it's crazy the skills you need to draw something photorealistic. But oftentimes a lot of those artists, if you ask them to draw like a monster or make something up, they really do struggle.
yep,
And that's when reference becomes a crutch.
yep. It's
Um,
exactly. And that's
and so
why I,
as a creator, is that creating things, making stuff up is the fun and joy of being an artist, of being a creator. That's so like I if I don't want to draw what's already there, I want to create something new. I want to
exactly.
I want to have fun with it and whatnot. But to each their own. But
Yep.
like in my experience, that's what I've seen.
That's the same, and that's exactly why I was so excited when I saw that tutorial because I
Yeah,
had been like, I could see what other artists were saying, and that yes, reference, 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 and I was under the pump for a mini project. I had to do 50 paper minis essentially in a
yeah,
certain amount of time. So I was using reference for those, and I was trying not to use reference too much for other projects because I didn't want to fall into that trap. And then I saw Jazz's guide on how to do that and just get a skeleton out of what you need so that you know you got the proportions and the angles right.
yeah,
And then delete the photo and draw the muscles and draw the face and draw the clothes all from scratch. And I was like, click.
yeah.
everything made sense then, and from then on, I haven't been scared of reference because I only use it for the bare bones. Everything else has to come from in here,
Yeah.
and that's what a lot of people I think need to sort of learn about reference is that you're not copying the whole thing.
Yeah.
Use a reference to get up like a gesture drawing, even if that's all you need. Just draw 3 lines to get the shape of a body, and then get rid of your photo. If you need
Yeah.
a skeleton to build a musculature off, get the skeleton. But it's, well, yeah, like when you start taking everything from that reference and not leaving any room for your own creativity is where you will sort of hamstring yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Exactly. See ya.
But yeah, you've got me really excited about those sticky bones.
Yeah.
um,
Um,
but man, this whole book is just gorgeous.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
getting back to the actual book that we're talking about.
yeah.
um, I really love the directions these books send the conversation sometimes in these episodes. Like Derek and I spent so much time just really deep diving on Dave Stevens' lines
Oh yeah.
and expression. And like in this book, it's triggered a lot of discussion about just being an artist and what we can use to be better artists and stuff like that. And also, as we've talked, making the best decisions for your art for the sake of the story, which is really important. And I don't think we've covered that in any of the other episodes that much, which is really cool that we are having that conversation now.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah. It's just one of those things. That again, as a storyteller, like, and you kind of you can pick up stuff like that. That maybe could be overlooked, or or again, when I tell people about making comics, because your job is to service the story, you know that you're doing a good job when people don't even have a second thought about the artwork.
Mm,
The story becomes so engrossing and so seamless that you put all that work into artwork for people not to care about the artwork, if that makes sense.
yeah, no,
Uh,
I know exactly what you mean because
so
that's what I discovered in a couple of the more recent episodes I did was that we realized that as we were talking about it that in these Crowded and the Rocketeer both
yeah,
have actually really heavy panel counts,
yeah,
which often isn't something you necessarily want in a book. But in both of these books, it worked
yeah,
exactly the way it needed to. Like Crowded has a lot of dialogue and interaction between the characters, which the panels and the way they were used served almost as cinematic cuts,
yeah,
and you didn't feel it because it was such an easy read because it just made sense that, oh, this
yeah,
person's talking and now this person's talking and this person's talking. Yep, I'm feeling the conversation, and you felt it and you just were guided through it. And the
yeah,
Rocketeer used a lot of panels, especially in the action sequences,
yeah,
and it felt like you were watching an action movie on the page. But some books have a really, really heavy panel count, and it just feels heavy.
yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. So, yeah, that's what I often say is like, to aspiring artists, like, you put all that time and effort for people not to care.
Yep,
But that means you're doing your job right because they're so engrossed in the story you're telling visually and with with the words and stuff. That it just doesn't. Yeah, that's the job that
yep,
you set out to do is
exactly.
is suck your audience in.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You
that
want
they
people to love it and
yeah
not realize why they love it until later,
yeah
because like they've just been sucked into your story so well, and then they're gonna have to read it again and sit down and think about it and go,
yeah
"Oh, this is exactly what I loved about that." But you want someone to finish your book and go, "That was fantastic. That was so good. I really loved that."
yeah. Yeah, so that's that kind of thing as well, and Sanford stuff, and like every page, and again, Sanford's artwork. is right there at the top, and depending on the story you tell, especially with something like this, where there's a bit of action, adventure, supernatural elements.
Mm,
One of the things that you utilize to create, that dynamic feel, um, is a variety of shots and angles. You know,
yeah,
it keeps the art visually interesting, but allows the eye to kind of dart from place to place. Like if everything was all like monotonous in the same kind of panel, and shot and stuff, it becomes boring in your so yeah, so kind of allows that kind of your eyes to kind of dart around the page seamlessly and still be interested through the different kind of shots and angles. And that's one of the things I love about this medium,
yeah,
is the ability to kind of um, you know um, have your again guide your audience through
yep,
your artwork.
exactly. And a key example of what you were just saying as well is this fight scene where Blink first comes up on the rooftop.
Yeah,
The two pages have completely different panel styles from each other, let alone the rest of the book. Like we've
yeah,
got 5 panels on each page, and we've got the four triangular panels here and the circle panel in the middle,
yeah,
and it
and
just feels frantic and like yeah, it feels like you're with the circle. Like these guys are looking on,
yeah,
you know, like they're off to the side. They're not involved in this anymore, so they are essentially just peeking through a window at their cousin fighting this monster.
yeah. And like what's cool about the like again to accentuate that circular panel, Cullen has a slight fisheye. And
Yeah.
so that works with like his expression, and how he's just like, she's good. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
kind of warps it a bit, so it kind of gives you that sense of like slight disorientation because, again, Cullen's realizing that Blink is dope as a fighter.
Yeah.
And again, this is one of the things, again, Sanford, is just an amazing storyteller. Utilizing it's 5 panels, but it's kind of like a splash page at the same
Exactly.
time, and so it's a full bleed, and it totally works. And again, it's dynamic and different from the pages beforehand,
Yeah.
leading up to, and that's utilizing that splash page kind of aesthetic to its fullest. You some people like, again, up and coming creators, new creators in comics, a lot of times they'll do a lot of splash pages because and it's like, no, no, again, splash pages need to count, need to
Yeah.
matter. And so, like, very much for this kind of stuff, it's like a Quentin Tarantino film. Talk, 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 bang, 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 bang. Talk,
Mm-hmm.
talk, 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 bang, 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 bang. So you've got to build up to those big moments, and you just don't have those big moments all the time because those big moments then lose focus, lose its impact, and so yeah, so it's that kind of thing. You always make sure that if you're going to use a splash page, especially something that's dynamic and action based, you have to build up to it so that it actually makes the impact you want it to.
Exactly. And like Sanford's decisions on when to break the panel border and
Yeah,
when to not really impress me because like he's actually only done it twice on this page. You know,
yeah,
the Gnu overlaps 2 panels at the top, and then
yeah. Look,
Blink overlaps 1 panel at the bottom.
yeah,
But it
yeah. So
really,
like looking at, you take a look at how the Janu's arms are breaking into those side panels. It also connects those three.
yeah,
That's the tangent from those three action based um was it panels. And because it goes, and then like it essentially like goes left, up, and around, and then like and it goes
yeah.
around the Kallenberg kind of watching on, and then her kind of in her stance, like and so again, like, and the one thing we like I haven't mentioned as well is the importance of the letterer.
Mm-hmm.
And good letterers, if you're not doing them yourself, good letterers, they place the balloons and text boxes in a way that they also guide the reader's eye.
Yeah.
So you look at that page, and the way that the the word balloons are set out, you easily follow the line through to the bottom.
Yep.
There's no confusion of how to read it, because that lettering backs up the visual storytelling that Sanford and Rico
It
Renzi are
does.
doing.
It really does. And like the I actually had completely forgotten to touch on the lettering this episode, so thank you for reminding me about that because I always try to make sure I mention it.
Yeah,
Um, the lettering on this is really nice. Like it's not intrusive, but it suits the mood, and the monster effects with the lettering I really love. Um, it really does convey that energy
yeah,
and like the little click click in the background behind Berg's head.
yeah,
That's really nice. I like discrete sound effects like that. Like you sort of have to look back again and like, oh, there it is. You took it in.
yeah,
Like I knew I'd read that click click, but just now is where I actually noticed where it was because it
yeah,
was
and
subtle.
yeah, and like onomatopoeia is part and parcel of the storytelling you use in comics, and I've seen so many comics with silent because like it's all talk, but then like in certain actions, like man, that would be so much better if you had an onomatopoeic sound,
Mm-hmm.
because then at least you kind of again it's that visual and text marriage that comics has. You've got to take into account certain things. Like not everything has to have a sound, but like there is a time and place for the onomatopoeia. And yeah, so the click click kind of makes you realize that cane or thing extends. Like
Yeah.
that's it's extending out into some kind of weapon. Um,
Yep. Exactly. And like and
yeah,
then Sanford's work again on the next page. More triangular panels, but like jagged slices.
yeah,
And like the
yeah. It adds to that kind of uh, frantic, kind of action based,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
that's happening in this page.
Yeah, and the way that the foot and the jaw of the Gnu overlap the top page,
Yeah,
like really gives that feeling of the beast getting kicked out of frame.
yeah. Yeah, and like it starts off with the kind of establishing shot, pulled right back, and then so it's right back, and then just sucks you straight in to that close up, almost point of view, like kick in the face, um, kind of thing. And so yeah, it's
Yeah,
just dope work all around.
yeah, it really is. And a couple of pages in, we get that sequence where this other guy whose name I can't remember yet because he's hasn't been said, uh, eats the pigeon
Oh yes, yep,
and then starts seeing what it saw. Just like that little close up down the bottom with like the blood stains in the background and the
yep.
glowing eyes. I love that. It's like it is a disturbing feeling panel, which is what you want. That would be the scene where the creature looks around in the movie and they zoom
Yeah.
in, and
Um,
yeah, I love it.
yeah, it's interesting. Like, um, just the time, the era that the story is set in, and it's one of those things like you start seeing a lot of it in media now, different media, film, television,
Hmm.
and comics. Is that this 1920s African American stories, and a lot of it is touching on and highlighting the Tulsa massacre, um, because
Yeah,
this character and the woman, is it Sylvester is his name,
I think
um,
yeah, I think it is Sylvester.
so so obviously, um, they become something greater than Janu, I think Nzondo, I think is what they're called,
Yeah.
and and they become like these creatures because of the despair and stuff because they survived Tulsa,
Mm.
the Black Wall Street massacre, and so that trauma and that those feelings kind of have turned them into something beyond Janu. And watching the Watchmen TV
I
series,
was about to mention that.
yeah,
I haven't seen it
Love,
yet,
yeah,
but
Lovecraft Country, they just really highlighting these kind of especially Tulsa Massacre. There's a really horrible moment in African American history, and it's amazing like people not knowing about it until they see it in this media and stuff, and it's like, man, that's one of the crappiest things that like there's a whole bunch of crappy stuff that happens to African Americans, but like that is not that far removed. That's like 100 years ago.
yeah.
And so it's interesting just kind of seeing that change and telling that story, and and though it's not so um overt in this story, I just understanding where the villains kind of come from. You go, yeah, you can understand why they became what they became, and now it's kind of like, okay, what are the greater kind of motivations they have going forward? Because obviously that's their origin, but like, what do they plan to achieve with this new kind of evil power?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, no, it's exactly right. It's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. What is their point? What is their mission?
yeah,
Why are they doing this to themselves? Like, what possible reason could they have? And, like, what plan?
yeah.
And
Um,
also, like, this page, sorry, just following that as well, really conveys a lot of emotion in that top panel where just after the guy ate the pigeon.
yeah. Eat the pigeon, eat the pigeon, uh, eat the pigeon now. Um,
I
yeah.
understand that reference.
um,
Yeah, and like with the arterial pattern of the frame borders, and you can tell that he's feeling a lot. You're not sure why he thinks poorly of this family, but you can feel that he's upset by what he's seeing.
yeah, exactly. And and the kind of the way it's presented, again, the colors, the greens, the complementary colors, the greens and the
Mm,
reds, really it really has that character stand out from the background and from the psychic images he's receiving.
yeah,
You know, um, so yeah, again, the color work, really accentuating Sanford's work so well.
yep, yeah. No, no, it's. I'm a few pages forward again now, so I'm sort of like skipping ahead every couple of pages so that people can really see and appreciate this book. I'm in the panel where they're in the park and the cops see them dropping off the
Oh,
people that
yes,
have just newly been turned back into humans. And again, like more of that greeny yellow and the blues.
yeah, and that also gives you the sense that they're in the park, Central Park, so
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of greens, but also there's no unnatural lighting.
Yeah.
So so like pretty much all that's lighting them up is the moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so again, Rico isn't just doing neons for the sake of it. There's an actual um conscious decision with his colors. So yeah, and again, like with the greenish hues of the Central Park stuff, or like kind of, or is it Saint Nicholas Park? Um, the red of the demon at the
Yeah.
bottom sticks out. You know,
Exactly. And like the yellowish tones in that first page, as well as the greens, do sort of give that in sense of, okay, so they've solved one thing, but I feel like something else is probably about to happen. And then, yeah, in the next page, all of a sudden there's those glowing red eyes.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, okay, so yeah, I was right. Something bad's about to happen.
It couldn't happen to a better bunch of guys than
Yeah.
cops. Um, but yeah,
Oh man, and Berg's badass moment where he deflects those bullets with his staff.
yeah,
That's awesome. Berg is no, hands down. Berg's my favorite.
yeah.
Even spoilers for anyone who hasn't read ahead yet. How far through the series are you?
Me,
Yeah.
I just read the first trade. Really, just so was that
Okay.
5 issues?
Trying to remember where that ends. Does
Uh,
that end after anything crazy happens with Berg?
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah. I
And
didn't.
then
I just didn't want to spoil that
and
for
then
you.
yeah, and yeah, it ends with the return.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I've been reading it volume by issue by issue.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, for anyone who has read it, you're fine. Anyone who hasn't read it, maybe plug your ears for a second here. But yeah, even Januberg, when he gets turned
yeah,
and is struggling, is still so cool. And that
yeah,
is kind of where he does get a bit more of that beast vibe as
yeah,
well, because he's struggling against that aggression from
yeah.
the Janu.
But I think because of his the composure he exhibits in his everyday life, he was able to kind of control it a bit, and so it wasn't like um something special. Like, oh, he's the chosen one.
Yeah.
He's like a day walker. He can exist in both worlds. It was just like, no, he just his composure in general
Yeah. It's like, no, this
probably
is a
gave him a bit more.
conscious effort.
Yeah, probably allowed him to have a bit more control
Yeah.
over the Genu infection than most other people, and so
Exactly. And he talks about that as well a
yeah,
little bit at some points. He talks about how he's fighting so hard against this infection.
yeah,
It's like, so whatever we're doing, we have to do it soon. Because, yeah, I'm even stronger than I was,
yeah,
but I could kill you all at any moment. So let's get
yeah,
this done.
yeah. So yeah, no, it's pretty good. What time is it?
I was just about to say, it's just about time
Yeah,
to wrap up. Actually, this is one of the rare episodes where we both got so into the comic that we went a little bit longer than the hour, which is cool. I usually go between 1 to 1.5 hours, depending on how excited I get talking with
yeah,
the guests. So this was a really nice one because I've been really looking forward to talking about this book because it's such a beautiful book and it's such a cool story.
yeah. And like the following page after Berg deflects things again. Like if you take a look at the Berg image with the staff after
Mm.
deflecting bullets, again, Sanford's utilizing that stacking
Yes, he
on
is.
the right, but if you look at the panels, they're off. What do you call it? Um, they're asymmetrical. They're
Yeah, they're
asymmetrical.
not all matching.
They're random. The thing again because using those weird panel shapes and the colors as well to accentuate that these cops are getting slaughtered. That something crazy is happening. Something and again using the close up. Again, you're like, oh, okay. What again? You had that monster behind him, and it takes a couple of pages before you actually see the Janu,
Yeah,
the monster.
yeah. This big
Yeah,
scary bird thing.
and so yeah, so again, when you're making comics, you're always wanting the reader to turn the next page. Always want them to keep turning their page to see
Yeah,
what's gonna happen next. And so yeah, so again, they give you minimal information, and you're okay, what is this creature? And then you get this big kind of 3/4 page image of this vulture esque monster. After that's just like killed a couple of cops. Um,
yeah, and then it just like smacks Berg and is gone.
yeah, and you can see how again the it goes from those greens to more purples.
Yeah,
Again, the otherworldly effect that the colors give it which highlight the supernatural elements of the
Yeah,
new
I really
comic.
love that.
Um, yeah, and I've always been a big fan of the green and purple palette too. So it just there's that harmony.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really nice. Actually, inadvertently, I've ended up doing almost that sort of thing with a piece I'm working on at the moment.
all right,
The main character from this comic of Frankie's just got inspired to do a pinup, but
yeah,
because the comic is like inspired by 80s mecha anime,
yeah,
I decided to do it with like a real synth wave style
uh,
background with
yeah,
like the pinks and purples in the background.
yeah.
And then the character's armor is actually like mint green.
Oh, okay, yep,
And so it's a really nice composition with that. So I was really stoked. It was just worked out by accident because that's just the color of that character's armor
yeah,
as designed by Frankie and the original concept artist. But I'd already the first thing I did was design the background and then start designing the character pose and everything because I just
yeah,
had a flash of what I wanted, and then I started off messing around with some colors, and Frankie's like, "Oh yeah, it's this color." So I grabbed the artwork concept he sent me and
yeah,
just sampled the colors, and then it just was like pop.
yeah,
So it really is such a dynamic combination. And if you can make it work well, which hopefully I will when I finish that piece, but like this page here demonstrates, it is a really, really effective combo.
yeah. No, yeah. So yeah, so yeah, just the whole team on this book, like just
Yeah, the whole
on
team has done such an epic job.
yeah, and that's the best. That's the best when it comes to comics. When you have that collaborative synergy on the creative team, you can tell everyone is on board. Everyone is like working towards a singular goal of telling a great story. You
Mm,
know, oftentimes, especially with like the way superhero comics can be, um, if there's like villain artists or whatnot, sometimes it feels very desperate, like in terms of
yeah.
just there's a disconnect somewhere between the creative teams because it's not a team that's forged the bonds yet.
Yep.
And but like here, like David F. Walker and Sanford Green having worked on Power Man and Iron Fist, which again they did some great stuff and together you can tell that they're very familiar with each other. And I've seen personally how friendly they are
Mm,
together. Like they're best buds, like and
yeah,
it's
it
really
makes a
cool.
difference.
Yeah, it
Uh,
really does make a difference.
that's why Derek's and Tom's Hellblazer is working so well as well. Derek was saying that even before they started to actually work on something, um, they'd been friends from meeting each other at cons
Yeah,
for ages and just had never really had the idea for what they would work together on. And then all of a sudden, the opportunity came up for Hellblazer.
yeah.
And apparently, they've just pitched something else. And
Cool. Okay.
yeah, they're waiting to find out whether it gets greenlit before they can talk about it. But the excitement in Derek's eyes when he told me about it
Yeah.
says it's going to be good.
Nah, that sounds cool. Yeah. But I gotta check out the Hellblazer.
Yeah, only issue
Yeah,
one is out right now, but I know that Derek is drawing the final issue right now. He said they've already finished writing it,
yeah,
and so it's just going to be getting released month by month. Um, yeah. So we're pretty much at the end of our time. I know you've got other things to do today as well. Do
yeah,
you want to tell everyone about what you're working on now and where they can find you on the internet?
yeah. It's very simple to find me. You just Google the term Bloody Samoan. My website is bloodysalmon.com. My Twitter handle is Bloody Salmon. My Twitch is Bloody Salmon. My PSN is Bloody Salmon. Steam as well, if you play video games, is Bloody Salmon. Bloody Salmon Art is my Instagram. Yeah, it's real easy. You don't even know how to spell my name because it's Salmon. And so you just go Bloody Salmon and be a racist prick on the internet when you search for it. But yeah, it's definitely it's definitely great to have that kind of brand. Where it's just real easy to kind of remember.
It is,
And
and then that's exactly it. At the moment, same thing for me. If you want to find me, guys, you just look up Sean Sunday Art
yeah,
on any social media, and it will pop up. It's some version of that everywhere.
yeah. So yeah, Bloody Salmon. That's what you need to know.
Awesome. Um, and Have you got anything ongoing at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment, I've been working on a Samoan language comic,
Cool.
first ever Samoan language comic that I know of. And I've just finished the sixth story, and we're currently fundraising for um, costs to print it into a physical book.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
Link me that, and I'll make sure that that goes into the YouTube description for today's episode as well.
yeah, so it's a web comic that we release on Instagram, and it's also available on my website, so you can read it in Samoan and English. And yeah, and we are currently raising funds to for printing costs. Pretty much, it's just about printing costs. It's not
Yeah,
about being paid for. I've already been paid for the work, so
cool.
it's
That's very
about
cool.
raising funds to just get it printed in time for Christmas. So that's kind of the main thing. I've got a kids book that I'm illustrating for an Australian publication. I just finished some headlock stuff as well. I finished some X-Men trading cards. I've got some more Marvel cards on the way. Yeah, and I'm wrestling in a couple of weeks' time as well, and yeah, things are just getting back to normal really. But I'm constantly drawing, constantly on the grind really.
Awesome. I will link you into the Australian Illustrators Discord later as well because we're actually planning our first art jam soon.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of like
Uh,
challenges and stuff, I thought I'd do things like a joint group art jam where we all pick a topic and we all draw the same thing or draw versions of the same topic or something like that.
yeah,
Just for funsies. I'm trying to figure out a way to make it work as we could do like a live stream event logistically of
yeah,
some sort, but I don't know how that's going to work yet. But
yeah. I think what was there? Is it Magma.io?
I'm not sure.
Um, there's this new kind of website where it allows several people to draw on the same canvas online. Yeah,
Okay.
they're like
Yes.
I think it's Magma.io.
I'm gonna look
Um,
that up right now because that's kind of what I was looking for. I was thinking either that or like I'd get everyone the first person to start and just get their
yeah,
rough figure down, send
yeah,
that to the next person, and then like everyone's drawing side by side in a
yes.
round robin type thing.
I think I haven't had a go at it yet, but it's like web browser based, from what I recall, and I think each artist gets like a layer, and so and then it's all on the same canvas, and you can all draw at the same time on this one canvas over the browser.
Ah, here we
Um,
go. Magmastudio.io.
yeah, Magma Studio, that's it. Yeah, and so I've seen a few artists that I know kind of playing with that, and it looks like fun. I was like, man, that would be kind of cool to, because like you could live stream.
Yeah,
Like, everyone can, like, anyone that's taking part could live stream and just use the browser window as as the thing, and everyone can see what everyone else is drawing, while you're drawing your part on stream.
yeah, that
So
sounds awesome. I'm gonna check that out because that would be really fun.
yeah,
Yeah, because like I've seen some guys a while back did like a Power Rangers art jam,
oh yeah,
and they all just drew a ranger and combined it into one big picture sort
yeah.
of thing. So that would be really cool.
No, that's cool.
Awesome. Well, yeah, everyone go and follow Michael on socials. I'm going to drop them in the YouTube description if you're watching this not live. Um, I'll drop mine in there as well as some Discord links. And please tune in next week. I am going to have a quick look and make sure I actually know who's coming on next week because I got my weeks confused on Wednesday and I thought I had Bizarn coming on today, but Bizarn's not coming on for another 3 weeks. I just keep thinking the Saga episode is a lot sooner.
Yeah.
If you don't know Bizarn, check out Mended Arrow. That's his sort of comics deal. He wrote some stuff for this howtodrawcomics.com or something it was called. He did an article specifically about the golden ratio,
Oh yeah.
and created like a ruler guideline set that you can
Oh,
use. And you can just, put it into Photoshop and drop it over your page. And it's got lines for splitting up your gutters and stuff,
Yeah.
and then all these red circles and diagonal lines and stuff for composition. So as long as the things that you're drawing are touching a couple of these lines,
Yeah.
they're going to fit nicely within your composition, sort of thing. And I've been using it ever since, and it really improved everything.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
take it. Yeah.
yeah, it's really helpful. And today is the 16th, which means, oh, cool. Yes, next week is John O'Dina.
Oh, okay.
If you haven't seen it, Liana Kangas did the artwork for the comic that Jono co-wrote recently with a bunch of other people from Less Than Jake, um,
Oh,
Big D in the Kids Table, the Interrupters. They all got together and they've created this like California music semi superhero sort of story called The Inevitables.
oh,
But not only that, members of all of those bands got together and created a new band to make an album for the comic.
oh,
And it's awesome. It was on Kickstarter just recently. I wanted to get the hardcover version because that came with a vinyl
yeah. Oh, yeah.
of the album, but the Australia tax and exchange rate and all of that said no, so I just got the digital. But there's a couple of tracks from the album on Spotify now. They've sort of been dropping a couple here and there. They're really fun. They're very, late 90s, early 2000s ska punk, Less Than Jake
Yeah.
sort of vibes. Goldfinger vibes.
Oh, Goldfinger.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
First and last music festival I ever went to, I got to get in the mosh for Goldfinger, and it was awesome.
Well, I remember Goldfinger because I remember Goldfinger in the 90s. They had a gig in Auckland, which got cancelled because they only sold like 5 tickets.
Oh, no. Yeah, no,
That's what most people in New Zealand remember Goldfinger for, not being able to sell enough tickets and cancelling their show.
that's crazy. It was here, Brisbane. That Soundwave was sold out.
Yeah.
Completely sold out. It was like the biggest Soundwave on record, and then the next year's one was not. But then also Nine Inch Nails was at that one.
Oh, yeah. That's a good headliner.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's been really great chatting with you. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate that.
No, thank you for having me. It was fun and
yeah.
it was interesting because like I didn't know how it was gonna go in terms of looking over a bit of route, but I surprised myself in terms of just like kind of the analytical thing
Yeah, no,
coming out
it's
as I was like looking at Sanford's work, going, oh yeah, I can see what totally what Sanford's trying to.
that's what I've really loved about it because it's just such a chilled premise with the show so far. What my guests choose to focus on each week ends up being really interesting, and I'm learning a shit ton about writing and illustrating through every person I talk to on the show, which is great. And I
Yeah.
feel like anyone who's into comics, whether as a creator or just likes to read them, is going to get a lot out of the talks as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, yeah, that's what I hope so, and hopefully everyone that tuned in or will be watching on YouTube enjoy our little chat and some of our analyses of the comic form and my observations and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I know I did, and I'm going to clip a bunch of this as well, so that I'll send it to you in a drive folder once I've done that, so you can take any clips that you like and share them on your own socials.
oh sweet,
Yeah,
I appreciate it, dude. No,
yeah,
but,
I'm going to try to do that with
yeah,
all the episodes.
yeah, but no, thank you again for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you to everyone that took the time to watch this on either Twitch or YouTube. And hopefully, when the COVID situation has died down a bit, I'll be in Australia.
yeah,
Again.
yeah. That would be great. I'll definitely be there because I actually like. I think I spoke to you very, very briefly at the first Brisbane Con that you were here for, and got to have a flip through, but I haven't had a chance to do much since then. So
Yeah,
it'd be
all
nice
good.
to actually come and actually sit down and have a proper chat.
Yeah, for sure, dude, for sure. Sweet. Well,
Yeah,
have a good one, dude.
you too. Thank you. And everyone watching, please like, subscribe, follow, all those good things. And tune in next week to talk East of West with John O'Dina. And then the following week is another good one, which is the Saga episode, finally, that I keep thinking is every week. Well, thank you, everyone. That's all the time we have for today on Twitch. This will be up on YouTube later today, and also it'll be up on my Facebook page later today. So go check those out, go check Michael out, and I'll see you next time for No Capes.